This video is supported in part by Retro Days, a place for nostalgia nerds to gather, share memories, chat, and engage. Go to retrodays.com or check our YouTube channel linked below. This months-long story about the Arcade1Up Partycade may finally be coming to a close. I received my replacement PCB in the mail. I'm going to swap it out and test it out for you right now.
Don't you know that you're a grown-up? No games, no puns. Not allowed if you're a grown-up.
Hey, hello again and welcome back to GenXGrownUp. I'm John, I am a GenXGrownUp. I want to thank you for checking out this video and hopefully the rest of the channel. Yeah, it's been months and months, early December in fact, since I got this Arcade1Up Partycade, and I'm not going to bore you by regaling you with the entire story so far. I'm going to put a link up in the corner that you can check out the previous videos. The thumbnail version is this. Bought this thing for Home Shopping Network, manufactured by Arcade1Up, did a review of it, wasn't happy with the performance of it, and it's been an ongoing saga of testing and verifying and proving to myself and to you and to Arcade1Up that there is a problem with how the hardware in this unit performs, and to the point that finally we actually got a replacement card starting to ship. The last video I did not yet have my board, but one of the friends of the channel did. Now I actually have in hand my replacement printed circuit board to go in the party-cade from Arcade1Up. I'm excited to change it out. What I found though is when you open the little package, it's nicely wrapped and everything, but there's nothing inside to tell you how to do what you need to do to put this new board in place. Now, if you have even a modicum of technical savvy, that's not a big deal for you. Changing out a printed circuit board is kind of a no-brainer. But this is going to the average consumer, so I really thought there would at least be like a printed instruction in here. There's irony, the fact that I wish there were instructions, and I know I always throw away instructions, but there should be instructions for the average person that doesn't like work with electronics or build computers all the time. So I'm gonna walk you through what it takes to put this new PCB in if you have a Partycade. Since Arcade1Up's not telling you how, I'll be happy to tell you how. More importantly, after we change it out, we're gonna test it and see if the new one is better than the old one and fixes the problem. It has some concerns? Well, I'll talk about what those are in a minute. Before we get started, if this is your first time watching GenXGrownUp, please look for that little bar that lifts. See that subscribe button in the corner? Maybe give that a click. You can even tick that bell for notifications. You'll be notified every time we put out new Gen X inspired content just like this. All right, first things first, we need to get the old machine dismantled. Let's get this taken apart. It's really easy to take the Partycade apart. There are 5 screws on the back, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top, and the center one, and the back plate pulls right off. So a little investigation, we'll see the bottom is just kind of speaker and controls. So the most obvious culprit is this little PCB shaped box attached to the back of the monitor. So that's where we're going. 2 screws on the left and the right, we'll get that removed. Then there's this chrome tape, top and bottom. You just need to cut that off. I didn't even put it back later. It just kept it from rattling, I think. And then you've got to start pulling pieces off. You've got power, you've got the control ribbon wire. Then over here you've got kind of power and some logic board stuff. All that comes off. There's still one thing holding it in place, and that's this grounding cable that's screwed into the bottom left screw. Remember that. We'll make sure we don't put that screw back in prematurely when we go to reassemble. Then back over to the bench, and we're going to take out the remaining 3 screws. That's easy enough. There's also this power cable linked to the back of the box that you have to pull out last thing before you remove the board, and here it comes, easy as can be. Now that we've got it out, you can see that they look identical. I was really hoping that the new one would say version 2 on it, like the one we've tested and we know is true. But it says version 1. Here's hoping that that's just a sticker and not indicative. I'm even going to put an X across the sticker of the old one so I don't get them confused, because otherwise there's no way to tell them apart as far as I can tell. Time to put everything back together. I recommend before you try to put the board back in the tray, go ahead and plug in this power cable. It's easier to do here because it's such a tiny cable and it's right up against the edge of the aluminum if you don't do that. Once that's in place, just plug that right in. It just drops into place and start putting the screws back in. You're going to put in these 3. Remember to leave that lower left screw not in because you've got to put that grounding strap back in when you're ready. All right, now it's time to head back to the unit. First things first, as I mentioned, don't forget to put this grounding strap plugged into the lower left screw. I guess no matter where you put it, as long as on one of the screws, but make sure that's intact. And then start plugging in, you've got the power leads here, and then you've got this ribbon cable. Get that plugged in nice and tight where it goes in the lower left. And then it's time to remount. Just make sure you dress all these cables so they're inside of the box, and you have these 2 screws, left and right. Get those tightened up. And lastly, you have the ribbon cable that goes down to the sound and controls and the power. Reassembly is the same thing in reverse. I mentioned those 5 screws. There's 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom here, and then finally dead center of the unit, you tighten up this screw that keeps everything in place. We've got the board swapped out. It's all back together. I've got it plugged in. All right, let's get to testing. First, I want to go into power on self-test to just see what the board reports it is. Yeah, and that's my first concern. I mean, this shows exactly the same. I mean, short of like the number of times it's passed and failed, but the same checksum, version number, dates, board version, PCB, all that is identical to the old one if you look at this snapshot. So that's worrisome, I guess, but I mean, let's see how it does. We know the biggest offender is Galaga, so let's go right into Galaga and see what we get. Here's hoping, here's hoping. All right. Oh, I already heard it. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, man, I thought this was going to be it. I thought this video was going to wrap up the story of the Arcade1Up Partycade. I was sure once I got that new board in, because we've seen evidence of other people getting this new board and it fixing the problem. Now, I know it said V2 on the one that we tested. My correspondence with Arcade1Up tells me that that sticker might be a placebo effect. But here's the thing. Whether the sticker is the indicator, the V1, V2 of the chip, whether that's the indicator or not, the bottom line is we know partycades can and do get fixed by a board swap. We also know that my board swap was not the one with the fix. All I got was a duplicate of what I already had that behaved just the same, poorly. So I feel like I've done this side-by-side video thing and run it into the ground. Let's take another tack at kind of showing how the Partycade is not up to snuff with the real one. I've taken audio samples from a real arcade Galaga and the Partycade Galaga. Here's what you're looking at then in Audacity. On the top, this is a recording of the Galaga opening theme song from the Partycade using the new board that I got. And the bottom is an original Galaga theme song coming from original hardware. So let's start by listening to the original one. I'll solo that channel only and have a listen. Great. And on the top, here's the Partycade one. So take a listen to this. Yeah, that choppy noise that you hear. First, I'll point out that the Partycade takes a full half second or more to finish. I did the math, that comes out to roughly running at 92% of original speed once you take into account all these slowdowns. What I want you to really notice here, look at the Partycade audio. The sound that you're hearing, that choppy sound, are these little cuts. You can see where the audio dips to almost nothing at regular intervals. That's the hardware not able to keep up with the ROM. Every one of these little cuts in the audio are where it dips down to almost nothing because it can't generate sound at that point. And those add up to create the choppy noise and the timing factor, the delay that comes into play on this Partycade board. And just for fun, I will play them side by side, the Partycade in the left and the original real Galaga in the right. This is just bananas, and there's no excuse for it. I said in a previous video that either Arcade1Up doesn't know the difference or they think we won't know the difference, and either of those things is a problem that we have. I'm fighting with support right now to convince them there's really a problem. They already accepted there was a problem, that's why they shipped me the board, but now they're saying prove it again. And I'm like, here's a link to all these videos, dudes. I mean, we have proven it time and time again. You just need to figure out what the root cause is and ship that replacement to the people that are reporting the problem. Like me, like you. Look, I'm not gonna give up. I paid my $200 for this first wave from Home Shopping Network. I just want it to be right. The game running 92% of normal speed, 8% too slow. That may sound a little nitpicky, but look, even my wife, I let her hear it and she's like, oh, that sounds terrible. And she didn't play arcade games. Even she can tell, an untrained ear, that what Partycade is doing is not right. It may not be as evidenced looking at the video, but we prove that it's too slow. You can look at the audio that I just showed you and see that it's too slow. And in fact, chopping at those little regular intervals, everything about that is a problem. At least I guess this video can serve as a tutorial on how to change out your PCB and your party-cade, and to a lesser degree, probably other Arcade1Up units that use a similar kind of architecture. But it does not end or solve the problem we have with this unit. The saga of the party-cade is not over. I reopened my ticket with Arcade1Up, I explained the problem, and I'm waiting for them to believe me again. Man, I want to support this company. I like the direction they're going in, but you've got to get better with, attention to detail for collectors, people that care about those little details. You got to get that stuff right. There's no other way to go. Man, I really hope you found something to enjoy in this video, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye. GenXGrownUp is dedicated to bringing you new Generation X inspired videos every week. Here are a couple more you can watch right now, but for even more, subscribe and enable those notifications. And if you love what we do, we invite you to support us over on Patreon. And of course, your feedback in the comments and a quick thumbs up are always appreciated.